So yesterday we talked about how to create deep insert. Okay, so let us reiterate, or let's discuss again what we have done so far, so that we can go ahead and test this stuff. So the scenario that we are trying to do is, whenever we create a sales order, we are as well create sales order items too. Okay, for that, first I have created a type in the model provider class extension. Okay,
Your screen is sharing?
one second. Yeah. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see now.
Okay. So in the model provider class extension, I have added a new type called ts underscore deep entity, which consists of all the sales order properties, and in another property, the same name as the navigation property on the sales order entity. So the property name is order to items, which is of type standard table of sales order item. Okay. So after we created this type, we go to the methods in the model provider class extension. We redefine the define method. Okay. In that, first we are going to call the superclass. In this case it is model provider class, and we call the define method, in which we are going to create all the entity types, we are going to create all the entity sets, we are going to create all the associations and all. Okay. Later we read the sales order entity type, and we bind another structure, which is of type ts deep entity, the ones that we have created. So now whenever a sales order is being created or read, we can accommodate both sales order and sales order item data. Okay. So and so since this is a deep insert, we go to the data provider class extension, and we have redefined create underscore deep entity. Okay, I haven't done anything. Let me put a breakpoint here. Okay, so let me go to the where is my, this one is mine. Okay, so let me read sales orders. So I'm going to call a sales order 5,000,009. Since it has less items, mine will say expand equal to order to items. Okay. So, and we are going to add system query option format equal to JSON, so that we will get the response in the JSON format. Okay. So I will use this as a request. Okay. So I will copy it. So this is my service. Okay. I'll copy it here. Just say sales orders, because whenever we are even though we are creating an entity, we should give the entity set name. Okay, let me delete all the metadata here. Okay, so even in the order to items, let me delete all this metadata. This item to product we don't want. So let me delete that. So we are just preparing the data as per the data definition that we have created. Okay, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me. Okay, so it starts with sales order properties. We have all the sales order properties, and we have a property with the navigation property name order to items. Okay, and which is a collection of sales order items. So I don't want this results to, so I just will define an arrow and I will delete the corresponding closed braces. Okay, so this one matches with the last one. Okay, and this one matches with this one. Okay, so in it we have sales order properties. After that we do have a property order to items, the same one that we have created in the TS deep entity type, and which is of type table. In this case it is an array of objects, sales order items objects. Okay, so since we are creating a different sales order ID, I am just going to change it. Okay, similarly, I am going to change the sales order ID because we can't create a sales order with 5,000,009 since it already existed. So I'm going to change it to post, and I'm going to add, since I am providing data in the JSON format, I'm going to add HTTP request header, content type, application / JSON. So any questions guys so far?
No.
Okay, so we prepared the JSON data, request data in a way that we have created the data definition. In it, we have all the sales order properties, and after that we have an order to items property which is of type standard table of sales order items. Since it is JSON, you can send multiple sales order items through an array of JSON objects. Okay, so let me go to okay, this is where I expect it to come. Okay, I choose post and add it. Okay, so I received the call here. So let's look at this is the entity name, this is the entity set name. The source and the entity name is same because we originated with sales orders entity set. So if you look the data provider, this is where we receive the data. Okay. Um, this is where we receive data. So let me go to the IO data provider so that it has methods to read the data. Okay, here if you go to IO underscore data provider, this is the type, and this has read entry data. Okay, so the parameter is ES data. So what I'm going to do is data LR deep entity type. Okay, so the data type that we want to do is think okay, model provider class extension and the type is TS underscore deep entity. Okay, that is the this is I create a variable with the same data type so that whenever I read the data from IO data provider, okay, read entry data, I don't need to pass any import parameter. I'll just receive on the left hand side since it is returning it. Okay, but I only wanted to read it when entity set name is sales orders or entity name is sales order. Okay, when IV entity set name equal to sales orders. Okay, so or let's say I'll say case when sales orders, okay, and case. So what I'm going to do is basically as part of our service, whatever the uh, deep creates that we wanted to do, you are just going to list out all those in the when clause. Okay, since in my case I'm doing only sales orders. Okay, I read the data, and once I read the data, I'm not going to implement this logic, but once we got this data, okay, we are going to write, so basically write business logic here to take the data from user request using data from user request, create sales order. Okay, if there is any error, occurs, send error message back to user. Okay, so I'm not demonstrating how to create that sales order, but I will just show how to receive the data. Once you receive it, it is we write the business logic, or we write class methods, or we write function modules to take the sales order data and put it in database tables, or take the data and create sales order. Okay. So read entry data. Okay, let me go to here. I think it might be. So it is an exporting parameter. So I will just say importing yes data equal to LR deep entity. Okay. So let me activate it. So let me go ahead and execute it. This is not mine. Okay, let me go ahead and execute it. So let me just copy this data. Post sales orders. Okay, I'm copying the data. So I'm going to add so I'm going to add HTTP request header mentioning what is the data, in which format I am providing the data. Okay, so add a header saying that application JSON. Okay, so let's execute it. Sales orders valid. Why is it not hitting the breakpoint? Sorry. Okay, let me call again. So the entity set name is sales orders. Okay, so it hits our when class. Since it is sales order, I'm going to read the data LR underscore deep entity. So let's see what the data is. So if you look at the data, we see all the sales order properties that we have passed. Okay, so at the end of it, we see order to items, which is of type table. So if you double click on the order to items, we will see all the sales order items that we have passed. Okay, so once you get this data, it is up to how you write the business logic to create the sales order. Okay, so since that is the business logic, I'm not concentrating on how to create. Once you get this data, you just create the you just write the proper business logic to create the sales order. Okay, any questions, guys?
No.
So in most of the scenarios, probably you are not just going to create a single entity, because for that entity need to be created, you got to, let's say even for purchase order or for sales order, anything. So this is how you create the deep create or deep insert. Okay, so before we move on to the next one, I would like to show you, let's say here we are only creating sales order and sales order item, right? Let's say, if we wanted to create, product 2 with the sales order and sales order item, so what do we need to do?
change the type.
Okay.
And add the what was that, item to product.
Okay, 1 second. So I go to the model provider class extension. So I will go to the types. See, that is 11. What I will do is this is the product header. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of it. So here I'm going to create something called, is TS product is already there? TS product. So I'll just say TS item to product. Okay. Now CS order to item. Okay. So among it public. So here types begin of TS order to item. Okay, just going to say end of. So in the middle I'm going to stick all these properties. End of TS order to item. Okay, I'm just going to take out this types type. So let's see. Okay. So here I'm going to add, since on the sales order item we will have a navigation property called item to product, I'm going to use the same navigation property name for my property, item to product. Okay, type, it is a structure. Okay, I will just say ts underscore product, and the ts underscore product is defined in the same model provider class extension. Okay, I'll just say ts underscore product. So now for the other two item, I will just say standard table type of ts. Instead of ts sales order item, I will just say ts order two item. Okay, so what we have done is we have created sales order item type, means ts order to item type with all the sales order item properties, and another property called item to product. Since this is the navigation property name on my sales order item, I put the same name. Okay, item to product, which is of type ts underscore product. And in the deep entity, I have copied all the sales order properties, and I have created a property with the same navigation property name called order to items, which is of type standard table of this order to item. This, okay. Uh, okay, I activated it. Next, I go to the data provider class extension. Do we need to do any changes here? Since yeah,
generate the runtime objects.
why do you need to generate the runtime objects? Did you make any change in the SCGW Gateway Service Builder?
No.
Yeah, since the deep entity here is referring actually to the data type, so it can now hold sales order items, and products in that sales order item entity. Okay. So here we don't need to do anything, but while we are passing the data, what we should do is, so let me say order to items in the expand item to product. Okay, we'll get it. So we use the same thing as a request. Okay. So in it, if you see sales order properties are there, order to items property is there, in which you will have sales order item and its corresponding product. Okay, so simply I'm going to copy. But since there is a lot of metadata which I don't need, I'm just going to delete it. Okay. Even in the order to items, you have this metadata which you are going to delete. Even in the item to product, you have metadata which you don't want. Okay, and it starts with the sales order properties, order to items properties, in which you will have sales order item, and on the sales order item you have a navigation property called item to product, in which you are going to put all the product details. Okay, so let me delete the sales order item metadata. So even in the item to product, I have metadata which I deleted it. So So here, I mean, for the order to items, I need to pass, I mean, an array of JSON objects. So I will just take this results out. So correspondingly, I will take one corresponding this one out. Okay, so it is the um, so I'm providing it in the JSON format. So let me change the, since we are not creating it, I mean, don't bother about what the sales order that we are passing here. Okay, I'm going to choose post. Okay, so let me test it now with now what we are passing is we are passing sales order and we are passing sales order items. Okay, and its corresponding products. Okay, so let me execute it. So now the entity set name is sales order, so it hits our MN class. So since this, I mean, LR deep entity variable I mean points to TS underscore deep entity, now it should, now let's say if you go to LR underscore deep entity, now we will see sales order properties. Okay, so and it order to items, I mean which is a table of type, it contains all the sales order items, and in the end you will have a property called item to product which is of type structure, which consists of all the products information. Okay, now we got the sales order and its corresponding sales order items, and I mean for each item we have product too. So we got a nice, I mean the full bunch of sales order item and the product information. Once we read this data, we can just, I mean, write business logic to create sales order with the sales order items and the product information in it. Okay. So basically, I mean, based on your requirement, you are going to create, I mean, you are going to alter the design time behavior, okay, I mean, in the model provider class extension, and you are going to implement create deep entity, and based on the type that you have created in the model provider class extension, you get that kind of data instead of, I mean, receiving data regarding one entity, you are going to get the data, I mean, you want. Okay, so this is how you create deep entities or deep create or deep insert, whatever we call. So any questions, guys?
No.
Okay, so let's move on to the next thing called media links. Let's say more, I mean, let's say if we are displaying an employee information in a self-service application, I mean in a ESS employee self-service or Fiori application, let's say we would like to show his I mean picture too, or let's say if we are displaying sales orders information, we put just a print tab where if he prints it, we are going to give the PDF with all the sales order or sales order items and I mean its product information. Okay, so anything with the attachments, either a photo or like a Word file or PDF file, we are going to treat it as media in the OData. Okay. So I mean how to create, I mean an entity as media and how to retrieve it, we are going to see. Okay, so in my scenario, So in the track sales order application that we looked in the splash, so whenever we clicked on the sales order, we are going to display the sales order properties and its corresponding items. And if you click on one particular sales order item, it will go to the product details or that sales order item details. Let's say, let's say we will give a print button here. Okay, what it should do is, it should give you a PDF, okay, with the sales order details, and whatever the information you see here regarding the sales order, we are going to put it there, and we are going to give all the sales order items and its corresponding product details. Okay, so we are going to have a print button here. Whenever user clicks on the print button, we are going to give him a PDF with all that sales order details. Okay, so let's assume that is our requirement. So how to deal with it? Okay, so what I will do is I will go to a CGW. So I will add an entity called so first let me create a structure, because from that's where we are in order to create an entity, we are creating an underlying structure. Okay, what I'm going to do is ZLUI5 and okay, sales order, just say SO and score print. Okay, so for it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the sales order for that entity. Sales order print entity. Okay, so I'm just going to say oh man. So for this entity, let's say I'm going to create a property called sales order ID. Since whenever I'm requesting a print, I got to pass sales order ID. So we receive the sales order ID, and we are just going to say, and whatever, let's say for PDF, the MIME type, for everything in the media, you will have a MIME type. Let's say for picture, it might be JPEG or PNG or bitmap. So for video, you can have MP4 or like several kinds of videos or audios. So for this, you got to mention whenever you are sending back that entity, you got to mention what is the MIME type. Okay, so I'm going to say MIME type, Okay, it is W3C can't type. This is the so this is the MIME type. This is the MIME type which is of type W3 content type. Okay, so let me create it. Let me create my structure which I use it for the entity creation. So I will call so I will create an entity say import DDIC structure. Okay, this is the ABAP structure, and the entity type that I'm going to create, I'm going to call SO print. Okay, SO print, which is of the key name is SOID. Since whenever we are requesting this entity, we are going to pass the sales order ID, because with the sales order ID, we are going to get all the details, we are going to prepare the PDF, and we are going to send back the user the X string associated with the Adobe form or PDF form, and we are going to mention the MIME type as application/PDF so that whoever receives it knows what kind of file it is. Okay, so this is the thing. So how many of you worked with Adobe or PDF forms in WebDyn Pros or print forms or?
I don't have experience.
Okay, so we are going to mention, since this entity is media, so I'm going to mention this as media. Okay. Okay, so what I have done is I have created an entity from the structure. Okay, and I have mentioned that entity as media. So I have regenerated the runtime artifacts because I have changed the design time here. Okay, I have created a new entity with couple of properties. Okay, so let me go to the model provider class extension to see what changes it has made. Okay, so in the define, sorry, so since we have created the entity, we got to create entity set 2. Okay, as for prints. Okay, entity name is as for print. So let me save it and let me generate the runtime artifacts. So what I have done is I have created an entity, right? I have created an entity with two properties. One is sales order ID. Since let's say you will add all the properties you want. let's say in order to create a PDF form, whatever the information that you got to receive it from user, you are going to add all those properties and you are going to add MIME type. So I have added if you see the properties, one is the sales order ID and the other one is MIME type. Okay. After that, I have made it as I have made this entity as media. Okay, so that's what I have done. Later I have generated the runtime artifacts. Let's go to the model provider class and see what it has done. So in the define, it has created SO print. So if you look at it, it created the entity type SO print, okay, and it sets this entity as media, and these are the properties. Okay, I'm going to use this one later. So whatever we have done during the design time, it reflected here. Okay, so what I will do is I will go to the model provider class extension. I'll go to define. What I will do is I will just read the SO print again. So I will read my entity SO print. So if it is bound, meaning if that entity type is there, and if I'm going to read the property LO property equal to, this entity type has method called get property. Let's see, this entity type has a method called get property, and we should pass the property name. Okay, so get property, and I'm going to read that MIME type property. So MIME type property. Okay, so and I'm going to set it as the content type. Okay, if I go to the property, so it has several methods. So set as, there is a this is a set as content type. What I will do is, for this entity, okay, this property is content type. So whenever I'm going to fill this entity, I'm going to fill this MIME type with proper MIME type. Let's say if it is a JPEG file, I'm going to say it application slash JPEG. So whenever you are sending, PDF files, or like whenever you are sending it to, whenever we create, one second, whenever even we create or whenever we save, if we are saving PDF data, we are going to, choose what is the type of it. Similarly, whenever you are sending it to the user, you got to mention what is the type of, you are just going to send a bunch of binary data, but you got to mention it, what kind of file it is, whether it is a JPEG file or whether it is a PDF file or whether it is a bitmap image, whether it is a Word file, you just got to say it, okay? So I'll just say elbow property set as content type. So what I have done in the, this is the first step. Okay. So this is the first step. The second step is go to model provider extension class, redefine. Since we have already redefined for other purpose, we are just, we have just added our code. Redefine define method. In that, call superclass define method. Okay, and later read the entity. Okay, read MIME type property and set that property as content type. Okay, that is what we have done in the second step. Do you guys follow up to this point, or any questions?
Yes, no question.
Hey, Rajesh or Shibu, did you guys know, or have you ever worked on Adobe Forms or that kind of stuff?
Yes, I have done Adobe Forms.
Sure. So did you do as part of the WebDyn Pro or like in Print Forms?
Print Forms.
Okay. So, probably you could relate it more, in the Print Forms, right? The whole PDF data is represented as X string, right? Or in web terms, it is binary data, right?
Yes.
So, when you send a bunch of binary data or X string data, the user does not know what kind of, file it is. Then you got to mention the MIME type as application dot, application slash PDF or something like that. Then only the text string will be, will be treated as, whatever the MIME type that you sent. You got it? Okay, so that's what I have done in the model provider class extension. So we'll go to the data provider class extension. So normally if we wanted to get the entity, right, we got to, let's say if you want to get the entity, you are going to implement or redefine this method. But since it is a stream, since it is a media, it don't hit this method, rather it will hit there is a method called getStream. Okay, this is the method that you will so the third step is implement method, okay, getStream in data provider class extension. So I'm going to redefine this method getStream. So since my entity is, not a regular entity, it is a media entity, you got to, in order to get the data, you got to implement a getStream method. But let's say if you are uploading data from user to system, you got to, say create stream, okay? So I have implemented this method. So I will read. So I will read. The return type is ER stream. So okay. So I will read. Initially in the IT key tab, I will receive the sales order ID. Type this one. Okay. So in the I'm going to define data ls stream type. So if you look at the data provider class extension, you will have a type called media resource. Okay, this is the type. So this is the type that you can use. Okay, but let's see what it contains. So this is the media source, so which is of type this one, so which is of type this one, So in the media resource, when you have MIME type and you have value with the X string, what we should do is we are going to create X string, or we are going to prepare the binary data for that PDF form, and we are going to fill that value here, and we are going to say what kind of file that binary data represent. Okay, it might be it might be a little confusing to you, but if you have worked on Adobe Forms or something like that, you could easily relate. So the whole PDF form or Adobe form is, all the data is represented as X string. It is a bunch of binary data that you pass it to the user, and you are going to say what kind of file it is. Okay, so it has a MIME type and value. Okay, so I'm going to read table IT key tab. Okay, I'm going to read IT key tab into ls key tab with key name equal to expo ID. So let me check once again what is the name. SO ID. Okay. So which is of type ls key tab score value. So once you have SOID, what you should do is, I'm not going to do it probably. At later point of time I will prepare when I got the Adobe Lifecycle Designer and all. What we should do is, so for this sales order, okay, we are going to prepare Xstring data for the PDF. Okay, so typically what we should do is, we are going to create a form in SFT. So let's say if this is a form, in the layout we are going to prepare the PDF. What kind of information we are going to put all the user interface elements, and we are going to create the context, or we are going to create the interface which will act as a context to the Adobe form. And here we are going to create all the sales order properties here, so that it will act as data providers for your user interface elements in the layout. Okay, so then we are going to create a function module which will take the sales order ID and which will fill this data and prepare the PDF form, and it will give us as Xstring. Okay, so I'm not going, I'm not demonstrating that as part of this. Probably at later point of time when I get time and Adobe Lifecycle Designer I will show you. Okay, but for now assume that we are going to prepare the PDF form with the sales order information that we receive from the user, and we will get the Xstring. Okay, so what we are going to do is ls stream just say, let's just add something. EAB, I don't know what this one is, I have just added ls stream value equal to, I have added, I assume that this is Xstring, but let's see, ls stream MIME type equal to application. Since it is a PDF, I'm just going to say PDF. Okay, so I prepared this ls stream value, but since I'm going to the return type is ER stream of type data, so I have this method called copy data to ref. Okay, exporting yes data equal to ls stream changing, okay, CR data equal to ER stream. Okay, and let me don't enter anything so that we'll see whether it gives the just an empty PDF. Okay, let's say MIME type equal to so I'll come to the get stream. I'll keep a breakpoint here. So in the third step, what I have done is read the sales order information from user. Okay, so prepare PDF file with received sales order information. Okay, so pass string value, I mean whatever the PDF file, I mean we receive the string value, pass string value to ls stream value, pass application type to ls stream MIME type, okay, and pass that ls stream, convert the ls stream into er stream and pass that data back. Now let's see how to test it. Okay, so this is my service. So let me get a sales order because I got to pass that sales order. So this is the sales order. Sorry guys, I got to refresh the metadata so that I'll get the latest changes. Refresh catalog. Since I have changed the metadata, load metadata. So of it, so we have SO prints. Okay, so let's add the metadata. So when we look at the SO print, okay, the key name is SO ID, okay, and this one has MIME type, and okay, where does it say? Okay, now it says that it is a stream, meaning it is a media. Okay, so how do you call it? So this is how you call it, SO prints, okay, entity set name, and you are going to say, since it is only one, okay, I'm not passing the property name, and after it, since it is a stream, I'm actually calling the value. Okay, so just say in the ls stream you have value and MIME type, so I'm just going to call the value and you are going to get the MIME type too. So based on the xstring value and based on the MIME type, it is going to display the PDF here. Okay, so let's so why is it not? No, the get stream. Okay, sorry. Now it has the debug. So it hit the debug. So it come to the get stream. Since we are requesting for the value of that media type, media entity type, it get to the get stream instead of going to the SO prints underscore get entity. Okay. Once we have this, we're just going to say, so normally in that case, if you pass any xstring information, okay, so you are going to get the PDF. Okay, let me just add some information here. And if we have some xstring, uh, if I have some xstring data here, if I pass it, I'm just looking for, I don't think so. Let me just add something here. I don't know whether it works or not, but just let me 3. Okay. So it gives you the PDF, but since we have passed some junk data, it could not understand what the data is. But let's say if we prepare PDF and give the xstring, it will display the PDF here. Okay. Since we have passed some junk data, it does not understand what it is. And here it says application type is PDF. And even and since Adobe Reader is, Acrobat Reader is the utility which opens the PDF file, it tries to open it, but it can't open it since it is some junk data. Okay. So, but if you pass, proper xstring there, you are going to get, a nice PDF file or whatever it is. If I change it to application.jpg, you will, let's say, application.jpg. So it will ask, so now it tries to display this information. Okay, so I think let me put JSON file. Yeah, I mean, so this is how you do attachments, or like photos, or like PDFs, or any type of attachment. This is how you do it. Once you get the string value, you pass it into the stream, and you are going to mention what kind of file it is, and it will be displayed. Any questions, guys?
No.
Do you understand? I mean, how to do media files, how to do, attachments and all.
No
Yeah,
idea.
so this will show up as a attachment on the front end UI
Yeah, I
web
mean,
page.
yeah, here it will show as PDF, but let's say when we get to the web page, probably you can open it in a new window, the PDF file, or like whatever it is. Yeah, the PDF file will be opened in Acrobat Reader, or if you want, you can open it in a new window. What you can do anything you want.
Okay, so I mean on the screen we can see it as a attachment, and when we click on it, it will open
Yeah,
in the
yeah, it will
PDF
open
or
the
image.
PDF. Yes.
Okay.
When you test, it will even show here. The PDF will be shown here too. If you pass a proper string value, you will see the PDF here.
Yeah, right.
Any questions, guys?
No.